Good evening, friends. I would like to introduce you to my good friend, Beth Campbell. I'm Jen Phillips, by the way, in case you don't know. And my good friend, Beth Campbell, she does so many different things. She has homeschooled her two children, and she's still got one that's going to graduate this year, right? Am I thinking that right?
Yep, next
And
month.
next month, oh my gosh. Okay. And then she's also got her own company that is not education related, which we'll talk about later. Okay. But the one we're going to talk about tonight is her education related company. And Peak Education is what it's called. She's got a wonderful business partner that helps her help teenagers. And so really want to share with you guys what it is that she does and how she can help you help your kid, help himself, herself, and help them to grow into that wonderful young adult that we want our children to become. So Beth, tell us a little bit about yourself. Welcome and for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. So yes, I am a mom of two teenagers, 18 and 19, and I'm an academic life coach. Since I have been a homeschooling mom, education is something that I have been inspired by ever since my kids were little, and even before that. And I now have my master's degree in mental health and wellness. So knowing that students really need that foundation of social emotional wellness before any learning can happen. And that's kind of at the core of what we do at Peak Education. We love helping students build the life skills they need, for their academics in middle school, high school, and really for the rest of their lives. So yeah, I love what I do.
Holy cow. Okay. So thinking about where we are right now, like what you just said, and I think that a lot of people don't recognize or realize or maybe necessarily understand the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so like when kids don't feel safe, if kids are not fed, if the kids are the social emotional needs, they don't feel loved, they don't feel those things, they're not going to be learning. And I think that a lot of people, parents, we don't think like go to school, learn that stuff, read, do your homework. And we just do that. It's like if they're tired, it's not going to happen. I think that public school has tried to kind of be that intermediary, like, okay, well, they're not getting that at home, so we're going to provide breakfast now. They're not getting it at home, it's not coming with it, we're going to give them lunch. We're going to provide these additional things. But what you're doing is so much more, and it's a little bit deeper than just, giving to them like the public school system does. So tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do to help kids navigate, especially like today. Let's talk about like today. We've got distance learning going on. My two children are not struggling in the same way that other children are. There's some that are really like overwhelmed completely with, I am stuck in my bedroom, or I'm stuck in my place that my parents are making me learn. I'm sitting on a computer. I maybe get to see my classmates if we turn our cameras on. Maybe I don't get to work in a group, or I do get to work in a group. I don't know those kids. I've never seen them before. And so I'm forced to work with these people. I don't even know who they are. And this environment that we've all been thrust into learning as a teacher, I see it, as a coach, I see it. And as a parent, I see it. But there are kids that are not like mine. So I'm like, my kids play on video games all day long. So for them, learning on the computer totally sucks. They tell me that all the time. But they're not struggling in the same way because they've been video game junkies. So they're on a screen. They can still talk to their friends. They're still interacting with their friends. So what do you do to help these kids that's not the case? How do we help them?
Yeah, and it's tricky because even in a quote unquote normal school year, there are innate challenges and there are different thinking styles and learning styles that really play into, and social emotional health that plays into students' needs and students, performance in school. But this past year, what we've seen is a whole new set of skills that are needed. And to add to that challenge, we have teachers who only have so much bandwidth because their hands are a bit tied with doing either a hybrid model or a remote learning style. They're not able to build those same relationships maybe on a daily basis or even at all, just virtually. And then in addition, you have parents who already, are working and parenting that have suddenly become more necessary as far as student support without really any training and skills to do so, and just kind of thrown into the deep end. So what we did is, this past summer, my friend Danielle and I, both having education backgrounds, it was kind of interesting. Separately, we both had the same idea. and then fortunately came together and talked about it. We were just trying to figure out, how do we put the skills and experience that we have into place to support families during this time, to support students, to support parents. And so what we've really done is just developed some support systems, some resources for students and parents to start building more of these skills, not just academic skills, but life skills. And yeah, trying to help them navigate this new landscape.
Fair enough. Now you're in Colorado, right?
We are, yep. But we're actually are able to coach from anywhere. That's the beauty of this virtual world now.
And that's what I wanted to make sure, because I remember when we talked a little while ago, your original thought though was to stay with your little community of Colorado. And then as you were reaching out to more people and learning more about what's going on, it's like, well, why not? Why not go bigger? Right?
Exactly. This is, it's a global issue now. This isn't something just local to us. It's really global. And we have some really great ways in a remote environment to help build those skills. We can assess learning and thinking styles. We can assess core motivation styles and help families work with, how that student is wired and help them, match those skills to their academics. We can do career exploration. If a student knows an outcome, a positive outcome they're looking for, further out, then we can find more meaning in the academics, in that experience, albeit a unique one over the past year. We can also look at values. We can look at, really hard, fast skills like task management and organization. We can work on all those things and help them put that into play with their social emotional health as well as with their academics.
Fair enough. Listening to you, it's making me think about my daughter who's graduated high school already and she's in college, but I really wonder how many kids, and I wasn't one of these kids, but I turned into one of these kids where it's like, I have to go to college. I want to go to college because I knew that if I was going to be a teacher, I kind of had to. Like, you can't go be a doctor without going to college. You can't be an accountant, a lawyer, a teacher without going to college. There are certain career fields, college is a must. But I think that we've transitioned into this society of, so where's your kid going to college when they graduate? And it's this automatic of they're gonna go to college. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not necessarily the best thing for every kid. And it's not necessarily the best thing for for us to do those kinds of things, is this kind of forced college. So I find my daughter in this position where she is not enjoying school, really wanted to not go to college, wanted a break, and is feeling the pressure of the other parent of go to school or hit the road. And it's like, well, okay, what do we do? And so for me, I'm like, okay, how do I help her to see what kind of where she wants to go, what she wants to do? How do I help her to get that? So do your services end at like high school? Like, do you help those kids that are in college that are still floundering? We've never talked about that before, but I'm just kind of curious, at what point because I'm thinking there are adults that they've gone, or maybe they've even gone to college and are like, and now what? It's kind of like I remember my mom reading the book, What Color is Your Parachute? Do you remember that?
I
And
do,
she was
yep.
She's 40, 45 years old. She goes, and what do I want to be when I grow up? And I think that everybody kind of needs that until they figure, like I figured mine out. You figured yours out. So if you're struggling with how to figure that out, like, can people still come to you, or is it really like a teenager kind of program? I don't even know.
Good question. The curriculum we have designed right now is absolutely geared towards middle and high school students. But because of the nature of what we do, we would absolutely be able to help, somebody that maybe is just out of high school or just in the midst of, 19, 20, 21. We could absolutely help them because it goes back to those values. It goes back to core motivation. It goes back to understanding learning and thinking styles. It's the same foundation that really is helpful during that transition time. And I think what you're saying is so accurate. I remember when I was in high school, I never thought of anything except for college because, I remember like the message I was getting from the guidance counselors was, well, it's college or go work at McDonald's. Like you're a loser if you don't go to college, and you'll be successful if you go to college. It was like these absolutes. And now, I really wish that we were at a time where things had evolved more to where expectations weren't the same. because, we know that there are a lot of options. There are trade schools, there's working right out of high school. And I think when it comes to college, the way I've raised my kids is it's all about timing. It's not that college is for everybody. It's not that college is bad. It's that it needs to be the right time. You need to be ready. You need to have some, you need to understand yourself pretty well to be able to make that choice and make that financial investment.
Oh, very true. Very true. What would be a tip that you could give a family today? Let's pretend my kids are not my kids, and let's pretend I've got a teenager that won't come out of their room, but they are not doing well in school, and they're just like they are not at all engaged in school. I'm getting calls from the school about them not being cooperative, not being not turning in work, not turning on the camera, not participating. They're showing up, but they're not showing up. And how do I reach my kid? What are some things that I can do to help me, one, manage it as a parent, so I don't want to kill my kid, which we don't do that here, okay, just so you know. But like, sometimes we just get so frustrated, and it's like, all right, I don't want to beat my child, but I'm going to hurt something, and what do I need to do to help me? But then how do I help my kid? And so it's like, it's a dual problem, because I have my parent expectations, and my kid's supposed to be in this nice little box, and they're not meeting my expectations anymore, or the school's expectations anymore. And now I'm getting hassled. And then my kid is so overwhelmed, frustrated, upset, everything. They're not successful. They're feeling like a loser. And they're like, this is not normal. I don't even know who I am anymore. How do we help? How do we help?
Yep. I think the first piece of it is really understanding that whether it's a kiddo or whether it's an adult, if we hit that point of overwhelm and frustration, most of the time we're just going to check out. It's fight or flight. And, perhaps there was a lot of effort to start with that student, and then feeling like a failure over and over again, they just hit a wall and say, forget it, I'm out. And so one of the things is asking the questions, like being curious, whether it's a middle or a high school student, asking the question and trying to get them to verbalize and figure out where this shutdown is coming from. What are their frustrations, letting them share those, because sometimes, especially when we're short on time, we don't explore, we don't dive deeper to find out what's behind this. We just think they don't care. Well, why is it that they don't care? Do they feel like no matter what they do, they can't make it? And so, really, I guess the biggest things you can do for your kiddo, once you explore what it is behind this and how they're feeling, is to help them self-advocate. Now we're at the end for a lot of schools, depends on, the approach, but for a lot of schools, we're ending a semester. And so to be able to say, okay, what have you learned from this past semester, right? And what do you want to see happen differently? Those two questions I think are really powerful. And then as we go into a new semester, it's really going to be helpful to help your students self-advocate. If there's any life skill that is critical, it's self-advocacy. And so helping them understand, and for younger kids or older kids, depending on their personality style, it can be tricky, but helping them know that they're the only one that can have some of these conversations. They're the only ones that can have this follow through. And so the self-advocacy and need for communicating is really important. The other thing as we start a new semester, so I'll give this third one, is really helping with organization and task management. And the best way we can do this with kids is by modeling it. And so us being organized, not only being organized, but verbalizing it to our kids, saying, hey, I just looked at my calendar, and tomorrow I have this, this, and this. And I realize that I might need to schedule a little more time for cleaning the house because we have visitors coming over. So, verbalizing those kinds of things just helps lock in with students that how we're managing our life. And, hopefully then they can follow suit and we can be more apt to coach them with their task management skills. That was a long-winded answer to your question.
No, it was, but that's okay. We love having lots of different ideas of things that we can do. And as parents, we're always talking to, well, your kid's so well behaved. Yeah, right now, like you haven't seen them, 20 minutes ago when they're having their meltdown. And, we tend to judge ourselves as parents, and we use Facebook as this measuring stick, right? Of where we're supposed to be or how we're supposed to parent, or the book that we read, or the the movie we watch, the show that we watch. Like, well, they're kids. And that's like, yes, and that's not real. And that's not real. What's real is what you're experiencing in your home. And if we can find ways to find the gratitude, but also to find like the win for the day and find that kind of thing, I think it's really going to help us to find that. So speaking of a win, can you share with us one of your wins with either one of your children by using these strategies, or one of your clients, and how you've seen a shift from like within the family, or not, family you've served, like this is where we were before, and holy cow, this is where we are now, because we've implemented some of these strategies and structures that you've taught us how to do, and my child feels successful today. Can you share with us a win for you and Danielle?
Yep. So I would say the one that comes to mind first, because I've been coaching the student for a few weeks now, is when we started coaching, she was very much expressive about the stress and how anxious she felt about academics, some late assignments and things. And then with time and with really focusing in on the task management organization, using a daily planner and planning the night before, what time things were going to happen, when, really down to things like exercise or walking the dog or giving the dog a bath. In doing that, all of a sudden there's more of a rhythm to the day. And as we've worked for the last few weeks, it really has been more about, there's been a little more calm and a little more, I think, feeling in control of things, because there is a plan in place. And sometimes, students have learned the skills, they know what they should do, but they just haven't put them into practice. And so seeing that process of just someone, seeming more relaxed and seeming lighter, that's huge progress, because we know that our mental health, our emotional health affects our physical health. So yeah, that's
Oh,
been a really great process to observe.
that is very, very cool. That is very, very cool. And I think that as parents, we want to be able to see our children to not be stressed out. And we want to see them calm, and we want to see them full of joy. And especially this time of the year, it's supposed to be like the happiest time of the year, right? And everybody should be happy and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, and they're just going, thank God finals are over, and they can breathe now. And so they got this 2 weeks of, don't even talk to me about school. I don't even want to talk about it. Wait till I come back. And so I'm just very thankful that I've gotten to meet you, because as I work with the families that we work with at Empower Learn, we're not necessarily working with middle school, high school kids or parents. We're working with the really lower elementary, up to middle school, foundational skills with academics. And I think knowing that we have a place to say, you know what, your kid is struggling with what, I've got a place for you to go. So even for me to have a referral place to send people, I think is really powerful, because people don't know where to go, and people don't know what's available. And it's like, okay, how, I don't want to go across town. I don't want to even go anywhere. I want to stay at home. I want to feel safe and confined and whatever with my home. And I feel safe here. And how can I do this? And I think talking to another mom, that definitely does help. And talking to somebody who's got an education background, that definitely does help. And so knowing that you've been there is really, really, really great. And so thank you for you and Danielle creating this opportunity for families to see growth with their children when they may feel they have no other option. They're kind of like at okay, what else do I do? And so thank you for starting that. I think it's a really big blessing to families. And so the more people that we can share this out with, one last thing before we go, I want you to share anything else you want to share, and then also tell us, where can we find you? I know that your company is Peak Education, but how do they get to you? How do they find you? They're like, okay, I've got some more questions, Beth, what do I do? So
Yep. So, well, I've been offering some free 20-minute discovery sessions with students, just to help them find a little more out about themselves, and then be able to answer questions about academic life coaching and how that works, because we do have one-on-one coaching as well as group sessions. And they can reach us. You can find us on the internet at peak-education.com. We also have a Peak Education Facebook page, so I'll make sure and drop that in the comments so people can click on there. And if you'd like to set up an information session or ask questions, this is what we love to do, and we're happy to be here to support families.
Oh, thank you so very much, Beth. And I
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for giving us your time tonight. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I see Christmas stockings in their background. So I hope you have a wonderful Christmas this week with your family.
Thank
And
you.
I look forward to chatting with you again after the new year.
Yes, so great to catch up. Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful night, everybody. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Take good care. Bye.